If you like what we're doing, please consider subscribing. It's totally free and you can unsubscribe at any time, and it really helps us out a lot. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video.
Mark here from Mark 2.0. My co-host is Brian. We are so thrilled to have the actor Tony DeMil on the podcast. Tony, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Tony,
Thanks,
for being
guys.
here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Since it is Halloween season, let's talk about your role as Terry's father in Halloween Ends.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it like working on that, and what was your character?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I played the dad to one of the leads in the film, and everybody was really cool. It was really collaborative, and everybody was really nice. I was afraid they were gonna have to have me change up my look because the character breakdown they sent out was really conservative, and I had my hair pulled back, and I think I was clean shaven. But they basically wanted me to come and do my thing. I was like, and everybody's really cool, and the cast was cool. And the one cool thing about not working in working in like a subsidiary market, which isn't really anymore, is like, the Southeast or the Southwest is like, people are generally like grateful to be there. People are very down to earth. We don't have to pay LA rent out here. We don't have to pay New York rent out here. So you can afford just like, yeah, I mean, I can just be cool. We can just be cool with each other. Pittsburgh, I really like a lot, everybody's very down to earth,
Oh, that's
what an honor.
Great to
What
hear.
an honor to be involved with Halloween Ends. I mean, is this Jamie Lee Curtis's production as well?
I would assume so. She's all over. Yeah, she's definitely an executive producer in it, which is smart. I remember the first time I saw when they made Miss Congeniality 2, I was like, why are they making Miss Congeniality 2? I was young then. And I was like, oh, Sandra Bullock's producing it. Why would she not make it? Go make that money.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, oh, like the film business is like, it's a business. It's a business. It's so funny because people are like, oh man, all they do is in Hollywood is make remakes and sequels. You're like, cool. Ask 5 of your friends who saw The Master with Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. It'll be 0. You're like, because that's what happens when we make these incredible movies. No one sees them, but like cinephiles. But what's crazy, man, is I've had huge arcs on TV shows, but I have like, I don't even know how many lines. I have one scene on Halloween Ends, and people are like, oh, dude, you're in Halloween Ends? You're just like, I mean, I was in 4 episodes of Manhunt. I'm a supporting lead in a film with Morgan Freeman. I'm a supporting lead in a movie with you know what I mean, dude? Yeah. And I have like 5 lines of Halloween Ends, and be like, no way, bro, Halloween Ends. You're just like, dude, what?
Wild. That's great. Yeah, you were in 6 episodes of Bloodline, no?
7.
7.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a great show.
8, but they cut me out of 1. But yeah, thanks, man. It was fun to be a part of. It was really cool. That was like Netflix's flagship show, and I thought they did a really good job with it. And the casting was amazing. And to be in a TV show with Linda Cardellini. There's a scene with Linda Cardellini and what's the guy's name who played Danny, the bad guy? He's the incredible actor. He's in a Marvel movie. He plays like one of the aliens now. But there's this scene where he just walks in and he's just like, they're playing brother and sister on the show. And he's just like, if something happens to what I'm doing, there's going to be consequences. And she goes, Danny, what the fuck are you talking about? You're being weird right now, which is how a sister should react to a brother saying some crazy shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. They played it really true to life, and I was like, God, that's just, I've never seen that moment, because you always see moments like, and the sister's like, well, what do you mean, Danny? But she was like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're being weird. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't have time for this right now. I'm like, oh my God, this show's really good. Like, I thought they did. Anyway, it was an excellent show. It was an excellent show to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, it was a hit. I watched it when it first came out,
From the first moment it opened, you're like, oh, they did a really good job with this. And I feel like it was like, maybe not the start, but one of the first TV shows where they're like, we're going to make TV awesome now. Yeah, it was before Game of Thrones, where it was just like the golden age of television is what they're calling it, where it's just like, most networks have a show where you're like, this is incredible. Have you seen on Amazon Prime, it's called I can't tell you what it's called, but it's this show and it's an anthology. It's so, can we curse on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
so fucking good, bro. It's like made in another country, and it's like, but you know, they speak English, and it's like, I think it's filmed in Canada or something. It's fucking phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think every network, Hulu, Netflix, they're coming out with these shows. You're just like, I mean, I would rather be in a TV show than a movie because I almost just booked 10 episodes of a TV show. I found out Friday that I didn't get it. It was a life-changing offer. It was a life-changing contract that I signed because, you know, you sign the contract before you go in there. And I was just like, you know, to get to play this character for 10 episodes of a show, it's going to be a fucking dream come true because a lot of times in movies, by the time you get the character, you're done shooting.
Oh, yeah.
Because every scene you do informs your character even more. Your interaction with the other actors informs your character even more. You know, by the time I was finished shooting the scene in Halloween Ends, you're like, oh, that's who I am. I'd love to do this again. You know
Oh,
what I mean? But they're like, oh, we got it and it's good.
Sure.
And, you know, John, they know exactly what it is wild to show up on set and be like, you know, the person came over and they were just like, I thought he was a stunt coordinator. You know, I don't know. I'm just showing up and doing my job. He's like, hey, blah, 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 this and this and that. And he's like, and then he comes back and he's like, oh, sorry, I introduced myself. I'm like, sorry, what was your name? He's like, oh, John. I'm like, oh, of course. Like, of course, you're John Carpenter, right? And I was just like,
Ooh, wow.
like it blew he didn't care. He was cool, but I mean, it just blew my mind. It's like if you meet, you know, you're on set and it's like, oh, what's your name, Robert? And you're like, oh my God, that's Robert Inc. Like, oh my God, this is my childhood, you know?
Yeah.
I was never into the Halloween movies, but you can't not know who John Carpenter is.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I'm John. You're like, oh, like, of course you are. It was a wild moment. It was like if you met Steven Spielberg, he's like, oh, I'm Steven. You're like, oh, you're Steven Spielberg. I should probably know that. But I don't like to look a bunch of people up before I get to set because it makes you nervous. And I'm like there to do a job, and my job is to play this guy's father. It's not to worry about who's who or who's what or this is that and they're in this show. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm there to serve the story. I'm there generally to be a bad guy and be mean to people and be scary to people. So, and boss people around. So it's like, if I meet you guys and I'm like, oh, wow, this guy's a millionaire and this guy's a billionaire, and I can't know that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It kind of blocks your true self, you know, if you're intimidated in any way, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. If my son was like one of the characters from Stranger Things, and you're like, whoa, like I can't be starstruck and then do my job. I have to show up and do my job, and it's actually better if I don't know who anyone is.
That's you have so many I love how high energy you are, and you've done so many things. I mean, how do you get booked on so many things? What's your audition secret and stuff?
The secret as an actor is to figure out what you're good at or how they see you. You know, it happened in reverse with me. I remember I was auditioning for Feldstein Paris Casting for a job for I don't know, but it was like something where there's monsters and shit. And it was like two country guy hunters, wild hunters. And a year before, they had seen one of my auditions. This was a long time ago, and they were like, oh, it was terrible, and it was this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And then cut to a year later, like I'm their top choice for this role. I'm like, oh, they see me like this. You're like, people see me as bad guys. And then you go and you're like, okay, good. I'm going to go get good at this. And then you love it. And now I'm at the point where I love it. And I'm always like, man, I don't want to play bad guys anymore. And then I'll do some movie where I'm like, I just did a film where I'm like a cop and I'm like, I'm good. I want to go back to playing bad guys again. It's fun. It's super fun. And I'm really good at it. And I love it. And every time I show up to set, somebody's like, bro, you're fucking good. You're fucking good. It feels good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, you got to figure out who you are or how they see you and then get good at that thing.
Gosh, you really got this. You are focused on that like a laser beam. So if you could, like, let's say you could step into someone's role on like one of these nice TV series, who would you push out away take their spot in their role.
I mean, the guy who just booked the role over
Yeah,
there.
Oh yeah, smart.
Well, of course. But you know,
Answer.
honestly, good for him. Good for him. There's actually another role in the show that I'm better for. I personally feel like, and I'm hoping they hit me up and be like, hey, but you know, I see myself as very much a Timothy Oliphant type. What's that show he had? It starts with an R, Revenge, or do you know Timothy?
Yeah, I know
Oliphant?
exactly what you're talking
Mm-mm.
about.
You're like, you love him, but also he's really scary sometimes. And you're like, I don't know if this guy's a good guy or a bad guy. That's how I like to play my bad guys. I like to play them very three-dimensional. Where you're like, oh, this is funny and this is fun and stuff, but also I'll kill you. You know.
That's awesome, man. You just like have this down to a science. I mean, when did you really realize you wanted to do this? Like act. I mean,
God, that's a
weren't you
really
into
good
like
question.
martial arts and stuff like that? Didn't I read that?
Yeah, I did capoeira with a group in Orlando for capoeira Brazilian Pelourinho for like I've been doing it for like 15 years, and I just started American Top Team here in Atlanta about a year ago. And man, I'm telling you, martial arts communities are the best. They're so once they see that you're there for real and you're there to train and learn, they're like it's like family. It's such a good group. But man, I was in the army and I was like, it was not a good fit. And I was getting out of the army and I was just like, oh man, what are like all the things I want to do? And one of them was like stand-up comedy. I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go do stand-up comedy. And I did stand-up comedy, and after that, you're just like, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever felt like alive, like really alive in my whole life. And then when I booked an independent, I think I was gonna book a lead in a student film at Full Sail in Orlando. They loved us, but they went a different direction, whatever. It was so funny. They were just like, oh my God, we love you guys so much. Then two people must have walked in after us, so they loved it even more. I don't know what happened, but I remember walking on the set the first time and seeing all the cameras, and I was just like, oh, this is what it feels like to feel like I'm home. I felt like, oh, I don't mean this to sound corny. I don't know. As you show up, you're like, oh, like this is where I belong. It was just an overwhelming sense of like, I'm home, so it's
Wow.
nice, man. It's nice to find like what you love to do and get to do it. It's really nice. And then the challenge is, how do I get to do this more? You know?
So what were you like growing up? I mean, were you in school? Did you do any like drama stuff or stuff like that?
I mean, I was always cutting up in class and shit like that. Not like Kevin Hart or whatever, but like I just, I'm passionate about conversation and people and stuff like this. And I was in band from like I ran when I was a kid, and then I was in band from like sixth grade on. And then, I did little things in plays and here and there in like high school and stuff like that. But I was like in bits and pieces of everything, but mostly music. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, me
Brian was a
too.
musician too.
I
Oh,
was
what'd
even
you
in band in like sixth grade, but I ended up, of course, with a guitar with a lot of distortion, and
Mm.
did a lot of that for 10 years. So yeah,
I play a little guitar,
cool.
5 chords.
Yeah.
What'd you play in band?
I did most of the singing, actually. I
Oh,
always did all the
dope.
singing. I
That's
actually was in
awesome.
choir. I'm sorry, in my band, I did the singing. I was in choir in school, and then I played a trumpet in the band.
My brother played the
So it taught me
trumpet.
how to, read music and stuff like that, which by the time I played guitar, I forgot all that stuff. That was just like by sight and stuff. But it just made
Sure.
me really appreciate teamwork in a music way. And it got me addicted to playing with a group. And
Being in band as teamwork, but I guess I was young. I had a big ego when I was young, believe it or not. I didn't, the world sort of revolved around me and what I wanted. I didn't know that, until now. You're like, I think I was pretty self-centered back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think of it being a team. I just thought of it as like, we all show up and we all do our best. Everyone should be just doing your best. That's just what you do. I never thought of like, it's for the team. Everything I did was always individual sports, running, swimming. Yeah, of course it was fun when you won, but like no one, I run myself, I swim myself. And the better I am, of course it makes the band better, but I never thought about yeah, I guess I'm a little egocentric because
Nothing
I
wrong with that. I mean,
Not at all.
you have your way of attacking a situation. Nothing wrong with that at all. Doing your best is the name of the game. So
yeah, I mean, even if you're not aware of like, oh yeah, this is kind of for everyone. If the better I am, the better, but I never thought about it. I just thought about it as like, oh wow, I'm good, so I'm good. It's
yeah.
pretty ego driven, but you know, it was we were young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you came over your fears, got over all that. I mean, to do something by yourself independently with all overwhelming confidence is truly a gift that you should be proud of, and it comes out in your mannerisms, and I'm sure you're acting. That's why you're so busy, I'm sure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's
Yeah.
been hard. It was hard. This one was a tough loss. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Yeah.
It was literally life changing and career changing, like opportunity. But you know, honestly, I'm not gonna be sad about the shit because it just means more to come and
Oh
probably
yeah,
soon.
most definitely.
You know?
Now, did you take any acting classes at all, or did you just
Oh
figure
yeah,
this out
yeah,
on
yeah.
your own?
No. I started on my own. You know, back then there wasn't any internet, there wasn't Facebook. There was figured out, there's talk to people. I found my first acting class in like, you know, the back of like uh Orlando. You know, it's one of those what's happening Orlando magazines or whatever. I can't remember the name.
Oh, nice.
You know, you talk to your buddies and stuff like that. Hey, what's a good class? Hey, what do I do? How do I do this? You know, and but I eventually found myself at Class Act Studios in Orlando with Lauren O'Quinn.
Mm,
Also, it came from Art's Sake. Yvonne
okay.
Stewart, she was on the show Young Riders.
Mm,
And then Lauren's incredibly successful now. So I studied there for 10 years, scene study and Meisner. I highly recommend. I think every actor should study. I think gone are the days where people are always like, oh, well, Helen Mirren. You're just like, I mean, she was doing plays from when she was like 6 years old. Like, okay, you know, but even still, you should take acting classes, even still,
yeah.
because you grow and it teaches you actually. A lot of times we have, for example, right? Kimbo Slice, right? He's learns how to fight in the backyard brawling and stuff like that. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. I'm not taking anything away, but I am saying he got into MMA and he got knocked out a bunch of times. Do you know what I'm saying, dude? So
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
know
hey,
exactly
man,
what you mean.
I think it's great that like it's humbling to be like, no, you're better at this thing than me. Show me how to do this better. You know?
Yeah.
It's already kind of resonating me that like you were talking about how people are like, oh, dude, you were in Halloween, but you like had these great experiences with like Morgan Freeman. I mean, I don't want to say I was going to ask you what are your favorite things, but that was really intriguing to me when you said that. What did you do with Morgan Freeman? That
That
sounds.
was one of my favorite roles. There's a movie coming out called The Minute You Wake Up Dead, and it's the biggest role I've ever had in a movie.
He's about the coolest dude
Oh yeah.
I've ever seen in the movies. I mean, I'm trying to think of someone who has more coolness than him in the movies, and I can't really.
Yeah, and my friend, you know, I was never on set with him because our characters didn't have scenes
Mm,
together, but
mm.
one of my good friends, Kirsten Hoagie, she was like the one of the producers, and she got to be his eye line because he had to do a monologue and it was kind of one of this is like the camera or something, and she was his eye line. She was like, it was the most incredible. He's like the coolest. You know what I mean?
I
I
remember
mean,
him
he's
all the way
cool. He's
back
an
to the
amazing
Electric
actor,
Company.
Oh yeah. Way back
which he
then.
didn't get until he was like 40.
Mm.
You know what I
Wow.
mean? So it's
Oh yeah,
like
when he started, yeah. I know
people
exactly
who
what you
it
mean.
took a long time to happen are are very humble. It humbles you to be like, God, I hope this happens. You
Yeah.
know, so when you finally do make it, you're like not gonna be, you're like, shit, I worked so hard and so long for this. Like, I'm gonna be kind to people, you know?
You're on your way to being that status. I mean, you're so active and so you're just killing it, bro. So tell me about that though. That movie that you did with Morgan Freeman. What was your part in that, and why is this special to you?
Well, I don't want to talk about too much because you know
Oh,
it's
Oh, it's not released yet, right? I
yeah.
get
But
you.
let's
Yeah.
just say I play a bad guy, and I literally the director was so cool, and we had so much freedom on set, and you know, it's from the minute I met him, Michael Mailer, he was just like, yeah, man, I love what you did in audition. I was like, do you think? He's like, no, just how you played it was cool, and we would get in the scenes and just like we'd go crazy.
Mm.
And I would say something that I thought was insane. And I literally, I had this one improv where I said this thing that I won't repeat because, I don't know if it's going to come out in the movie or not. And I go, blah, blah, blah. I go, sorry, everyone. That was inappropriate. He's like, no, I love it. Do it again. Do it in the next take.
Great.
I was like, you're great, bro. He was right there. It was amazing. It was crazy. We had so much, when you have so much freedom, it's almost like too much freedom.
Yeah.
But it was wild. I literally can't wait to see what happens with that movie.
Well, just like you like that other movie for being having real dialogue like that, I'm sure everybody's going to have the same reaction to what you're doing. That's so awesome.
Oh man, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that.
Oh man. Go ahead.
Did you guys see Zola yet?
Zola's no, I don't think I have.
Zola and the 24th. Those are the films that have been out forever, but not really out because they like go to this and they're on Showtime. And it's like, all these channels where people are paying for it up front, paying. And then finally it'll come out on Netflix probably in a year. And people are gonna be like, oh, and you're like, we did this 3 years ago. You know what I mean?
I'm definitely checking those out though.
Sure. Yeah. So
I'm sure I'm gonna like what you like. I just love your energy and stuff. So I know you went to class and stuff. Who's mentoring you now? Who do you call?
I mean, I teach classes.
Oh wow! Talk about that. Classes.
You seem so independent.
Yeah, there's a great studio in town called Get Seen Studios here in Atlanta. That it's a great place for actors to start. We do like casting director workshops, and I teach a Meisner class there, and that's actually great. I started there 7 years ago teaching like weekly classes. Anyway, we've gotten to the point where I just do like a 3-day really intensive. And I really like it because I like helping people discover themselves. Because it's more important to become, man, look, dude, I'm sad about this job, but you're like, at the end of the day, like, it's not that fucking serious. You know what I mean, dude? Like, people are starving out there. It's like not, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are having babies. People are falling up. There's a lot of things that are important. Our career is important. It's amazing. But, one of the things that I realized when I almost booked this job, because I had to be like number 2 because they waited like 11 days to tell me I didn't get it. So the whole time you're just like, so you have the experience of like, I didn't get it. I did get it, all the gamut. And one of the days I was having I did get it there. I go, well, now what? Because now I did it. Now I achieved the thing. And yeah, it's going to be fun to go to set and do it and stuff. But now what? Because now I've arrived. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Like if you're like, oh man, I'd love to get, I don't know what you're doing with the podcast, but let's say you do it and you're like, oh, we'd love to get syndicated. And now you are. And you're like, oh, we'd love to get bought. And then you are. And then what? And then more of, I don't know what, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's wild to think about, oh shit, I won the lottery and now what? So I try to help people like, it's not that fucking serious, dude. It's like, there's more important things, helping people, volunteering. But that's why I like Meisner, because you get to know who you are. I'm selfish. I'm very ego driven. I'm a little bit of a chauvinist. I have a bad temper. I'm all these things. And like, it's okay. You use it. You work with it. None of us are perfect. None of us, bro. And that's why I like the style that I teach and study, is that you're just like, you figure out who you are, for good, for bad, for better, for worse, and be like, and you use that in your work and be like, yeah, no, I'm not perfect. I have a bad temper. I am mean. I'm angry. I'm impatient. I'm selfish. And like, it's okay though, dude, we're all made a specific way for a specific reason, I think.
But for what you're doing, I think it's going to fall back on you, even though that this opportunity didn't come, maybe one even bigger and better is going to happen.
Say it, my friend. Say it.
Oh yeah.
Because actually, when I booked Bloodline, I was up for a part on a movie called I don't know, something with James Marsden, and I didn't really know what I was doing back then, honestly, as far as character development and stuff. Like, I've come so far since then, and I didn't get it, and I was so sad. And then like I booked Bloodline, and I learned so much on Bloodline because all of my scenes were flashback scenes, so I had so long to develop my character. And it was just, for me, it was all internal. So it was such a good project for me for learning. And that was really the beginning of my character-driven acting, that show. I remember really developing a backstory for my character on that show and being like, oh, this is like what this is. And, that's the cool thing about acting is like my manager said to me the other day, she's like, I know you're going to book something big because you put, even if it's 4 lines, you put like all this work into but that's what makes it fun. It's like, it's fun. And we could go fight right now if you wanted to, but it's more fun to be like, hey, let's all go train as hard as we can for 6 months and then come back and fight.
That's an amazing perspective you have. That's great, dude.
Thanks,
I love
bro.
that. Gosh, well, where do you think if let's do a 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year goal thing?
Okay. In 1 year, I want to have booked 7 seasons of I want you guys to write this down. I told my manager this the other day. I said the next job I book is going to be a 7-season contract. It's going to be $43,000 per episode. That's happening.
Wow.
I want to book a cowboy, I want to book a motorcycle guy, and I want to book a Russian bad guy. I almost just booked a Russian bad guy. And so those 3 things. And then I want to produce films. I'm actually working with a writer right now, a good friend of mine. She's an incredible writer. She's one of those women who I told her I wanted a scene, like a spec scene for my girlfriend and I. And I was like, oh, I want it to kind of be like this and kind of be like that. She's like, okay. She sends me this thing. I'm like, this is fucking exactly like perfect. She's an incredible writer and we're working on a script right now. And, once I'm a name, once I have a name, I want to produce films and I want to hire all of my friends who are incredible actors, but haven't been given the right opportunities yet. And I want to make movies.
That's great.
Maybe put myself in and maybe not, depending on what I'm working on at the time, but like there's so many incredible actors out there, and we're in a day where if you just make a good film, you can find a place for it. It will get bought, in my opinion.
So yeah, with all the platforms out there, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I was just marveling at the fact there was someone like, me and Mark could just do something independently and have fans enough to support us, but your career, however, you have just so much coming out of you all of the time. It's just been a really treat to listen to you. I could do a 4-hour with you.
Seriously.
And you are just like a fountain of information. What's cool is people look at this channel, I think, because they want to get into this sort of thing. And if they could just don your attitude just for the time that they go in there to the time that they leave there, I bet you their shit would just go just so much better.
Bro, if you work as hard as my stepdad was a fucking asshole, but one of the things that he instilled in me is like, whatever you do, you need to fucking work as hard as you can on that thing. And so whatever it is, you will become successful, whether it's a podcast, whether it's acting, whether it's being a fighter. Do you know how many fights Pacquiao lost in the beginning? I don't know, hundreds, but like a lot. Enough where most people would give up. It was like 23 or something. And now then he becomes a champion of the world, So we have to persist and we have to work as hard as we can, even when it hurts, even when it sucks, because there's a destination that exists for you that's better than where you are now. Do you know what I'm saying? And knowing that I got here through hard work is very like emboldening. No one ever gave me shit, bro. I wasn't rich. We didn't have shit growing up. Do you know what I'm saying? My friends helped me. I had great teachers. I had great people to encourage me. But like, I got here through fucking hard work. You know what I'm saying? And it feels good to say that.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. As someone who works so much, do you have any free time? And what do you do to relax if you have?
I got lots of free time.
Okay.
I like working on motorcycles. I like snowboarding. I like wing foiling. I like surfing. I like outdoor stuff that involves, I train at my gym a lot, American Top Team. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing. And that's awesome. And the guys there are awesome. And we have great fighters there. And the coaches are awesome. And it's just a really great school. And I find it's very important to have balance in your life. Go work hard, wake up, have some coffee, write out your scene, knock out a great audition, turn it in on day one, and then go work out. And then afterwards we sit outside and we just talk. And it's just, you got to have balance in your life. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, you're really physical. Do you ever do like stunts and shit?
Stunt guys are a different level, man. I'm just going to tell you this. Like, stunt guys, here's a perfect example of the difference between me and a stunt guy. I love fighting. I love exercise. I love staying in shape. I love martial arts. There was an actor working with a stunt man, and the actor did the scene like 3-4 times. He had to the guy hits him and he slams up against the wall. And then they're like, yeah, we didn't quite get it. We didn't quite get it. So they brought in the stunt man. And the stuntman does it. He was like, oh, perfect. Yeah, we're moving on. And the actor, I can't remember. It was like Josh Brolin or somebody like that. I can't remember exactly. And he was like, how'd you do that in one take? And the stuntman was like, oh, yeah, I just made myself knock out against the wall. And the actor's just like, so that's like the difference between like a physical actor, which I am, and like a stunt person. They're for real, for real. I'm like, I like being
they're
athletic.
Nuts.
No, they're crazy. They'll do it. They'll fall down the stairs 27 times, bro. That's like insane, bro. I'm just like, after the first time, I'd be like, did we get it? I watch a guy like get tased and fall, stiff his entire body, and fall down onto the ground. And we did it 5 times, bro, onto the concrete, bro.
They used a real live taser and did it?
No, but I mean, he pretended to be tased. He stiffens his body. He falls on the ground from a standing position, falls onto the concrete, bro, 5 times in a row.
Geez.
I'm just like, I'm good. I'll just do the acting. You do like that crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
They're next level, man. They're next level, bro. They're professional like athletes, you know?
Well, we're finding out that a lot of those guys, they're just such good movie makers after doing stuff like that. They get into making the movies. Wasn't it Bullet Train? It's like Brad Pitt's stunt double ended up making Bullet Train or something.
Oh, yeah, wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, they're around. You know, if I work on a film 7 days, they work on 7 weeks. You know, they're on the film the whole time, and a lot of times they're doing pre-laps. Meaning, do you guys know what a pre-lap is?
No, explain to the audience. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like a pre-lap is when you have the stunt coordinator, like my friend Brian from ATL Stunts here in town. He'll film something and be like, I'm thinking like this, and this. So it's like a mock-up of what the scene's going to look like for the director. Sometimes they add like music, sometimes they add like effects and stuff like that. So they're essentially making movies. So if you're a big time stunt coordinator, I mean, and this was nothing. This was like a little independent film that we did for festivals and stuff. So imagine if you're doing it for like
money.
Yeah, if you're doing it for the movie Power, which I worked on, they're literally making films the whole time. So it's like it's a natural progression that they just go make films.
Wow.
You know? Because imagine if you did a pre-lap for a movie and then it made it in the film exactly as you saw it, an exact way that you saw it. You're just like, I mean, I made that part. I made it. You know what I mean? So like, you know, go do it for yourself now.
Wow. So, I mean, where do you live right now? Like Atlanta or?
Yeah, I live in Atlanta. My home base is Atlanta, but I work out of New York, LA, where, you know, where's the job, you know?
You just go where the job takes you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But you prefer to live in Atlanta.
I do, and I was actually really psyched because the job I just booked was shot in Atlanta. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. 10 episodes in Atlanta, like chilling, like the weather here is incredible right now. I don't know what it's like in Phoenix right now, but
heaven.
Yeah, it's not bad right now.
Yeah.
Actually, my manager lives in Arizona.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, she's out of LA and New York, but obviously, you know, you don't have to live anywhere specific, you know, as such.
No.
You know what I mean? You can live wherever you want now.
Oh, yeah. Even Rob Schneider lives out here.
Does he really?
She probably lives in Scottsdale. It's really nice out in Scottsdale. A lot of golf. You know, a lot of areas like that. Do you oh, sorry, Mike, you were gonna ask the next one.
No, so you just said it. You work all over. So you're not just predominantly in Atlanta.
I would say most of my jobs they book out of Atlanta, but they, you know, the world is becoming much more global now. I honestly see it a day in 10 years when it's just like the job's in Paris and here's the pay and here's the travel and then you can negotiate a rate, but it's like everything's filming everywhere now. You have people from England shooting here. You have people from here. More than several of my friends went over to England this year to go shoot projects. Wow. Okay. So everything's changing, man. Everything's becoming more global. And you know, you go on Netflix, 2 of the biggest shows on Netflix in the last 5 years were Thor Ragnarok out of Norway. Is it Norway?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then first Game of Thrones, that was all shot in England. I mean, Harry Potter, but not even those big ones. What was the show? It was filmed in in Israel. It was like on
Oh,
Netflix with
Really?
subtitles. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
to me, we're just becoming a much more global culture now. I mean, even over the pandemic, the protests we had, they were worldwide protests.
They were, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Worldwide. So I feel like we're becoming a much more, even when we talk about stuff like healthcare, we're talking about like, hey, there's 57 other developed nations that have healthcare. We're talking about things in a global way now.
Mm,
People aren't
yeah.
just like, oh, where'd this come from? Oh, who cares? You're like, no, this comes from China. How much are they getting paid? Like, are they being treated well? Are they being paid? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a really good thing because we're all starting to collaborate, because of Instagram and
Mm.
Facebook. People are always like, oh, social media. Just like social media connects the world, man. I
I'm with
mean,
you. Yeah.
if there was no social media, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah.
You
Have you
know?
ever worked in Canada, Vancouver or Toronto?
Oh my gosh, not yet, but it's so funny you mentioned. I was just like, oh, maybe my next job will be like in Toronto. I was just thinking that. I'll go up there for 7 seasons, and it's a little cold up there for me. And I definitely have to bring my cat. But um no, that'd be cool. Nothing. I've done like a live performance there, but I've never done any film there
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Someone was telling us last night it's really nice there and like kind of small and stuff and homey, and but really
That's
nice
cool.
place to be.
I like that. I like small town feel. That's kind of what I like about Georgia is, I mean, I live 17 miles outside of the city, and
Mm, yeah.
none of my neighbors, anybody ever met anybody who was an actor. You know what I mean? It's like just like normal people working normal jobs. And I like that a lot. I like getting on my motorcycle and driving down to Macon or Stockbridge or like Rutledge down the street where it's just like this is like the middle of nowhere. It's really nice, It's really nice to be an actor and not have to live in LA and not have to live in New York because those cities are not for me. I
Oh
love them
no,
to
I've been
visit.
there for 10 years. I know exactly what you mean.
I
Bro,
just
for
saw Wahlberg leaving California headed for Nevada,
Oh
and he says
wow.
something big is going to be built there. So
dope. Let's go.
under his words. So yeah, so that'd
There
be
you
pretty
go.
cool. But during that, since everything is like I think everything changed a lot because of the shutdown. I don't want to talk about politics or even COVID, but how did the world shutting down affect you? And what did you do during that time when you really didn't know what was going to happen?
Man, that's a good question. Well, thankfully, I was able to collect unemployment. So I was very thankful for that. And so I invested in the stock market quite a bit, which was really, really up for a little bit. And now it's really down. Um, I also bought and sold and worked on 7 different motorcycles
Wow.
and went on
Nice.
some long motorcycle rides because you go on a motorcycle ride from here to Tampa, all back roads, like you're not talking to anyone. You have your mask on the whole time. You have your helmet on the whole time. You go to you get some gas, you get a little snack in the thing, and you just like it was a great time to do it. No one was on the road. I was going on these incredible drives. It was just like me and the universe
Oh, I'm
connecting.
so jealous.
Bro,
That's a great idea.
yeah, I
Really
just did one
is.
on Sunday here even now. Like, find back roads, get a motorcycle, get out there, like go be by yourself, be with yourself, and just like have some alone time to think and just be with yourself. Motorcycles are great for that. I only take back roads and I try to do very unpopulated areas to be safe and stuff like that. But it's an incredible sensation,
Oh, I love
I can
new
imagine.
scenery. I could just take new scenery in. That's what really is attractive to me. Getting on the bike and just seeing new scenery constantly for like a week or something,
You
and
should have
never.
seen, I mean,
Mm.
I've been on some absolutely incredible rides. Here between here and Tallahassee is incredible. Between here and Tampa, all back roads is, I mean, it's like something out of a magazine, bro. You're literally going around a corner, cows are to the left. It's like a wheat field. You're just coming around the corner, all back roads, no one on the road, 55 miles an hour. Just like, I mean, I can't even believe that I get to experience it. Even the other day, I drove to Athens from here to Athens, and the way back it took me on a different route, and it was a little hectic. But there's this one spot where I come around the corner, there's like a big lake on the left and a big lake on the right. You're like, oh my god,
Wow. Yeah,
I'm literally
yeah.
like, this is incredible, you know.
That's so awesome. You have just a great way of just like eating up life and appreciating things. And you might play a villain, but you truly see the beauty in things. And I admire that so much about you. Were your parents like that? What were your parents like? Where were they born?
Yeah, so my mom was very my dad is from the Bronx, and I got an opportunity to go up and visit his house and where he grew up. And then my mom was very she was very spiritual. And she was always, it was funny because she was really strict, but she was also like, you know, one time my brother beat me in a track meet, and I got physically sick, and she like came and talked to me about it and helped me see that like I was like beating myself up. And she always challenged us to like look farther than or further than like I'm mad, or and she you know, she would just say stuff like, hey man, this is America, you don't like your job, quit your job, get a new job tomorrow. Even during the pandemic, there were like for sale now hiring signs everywhere. So I don't really have time, I don't really have it. I'd say sometimes I'm a little hard on people when they make excuses for themselves. I'm just like, bro, don't get me wrong, you're allowed to feel sad, but like, okay, moving on.
You're right.
Let's go figure this thing out. You
And
know
you're right. People have it really hard in this world. And especially people who live in America and stuff, we have it really. I'm not saying everybody's got a good life. I'm not. I'm saying, but we have an advantage and we're blessed to be here. And you're right. We shouldn't be making excuses. And when you stop making excuses, you know, that's when things actually do change. So it's good advice.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, it's like, okay, so you have 5 excuses. What is that getting you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Wasting
what I'm saying?
time.
Bro, it doesn't, you don't get it. There's no, okay. Even if you're right, even if you're 100% right, and someone leaves you when they take the kids and they take the money, and okay, and now what? Are you just going to be sad for the rest of your life? Because I guarantee you, I could show you 100 people who have it worse than you. Do you know what I'm saying? There's people in Africa who they just want to go to school. They just want to go to school. And we're making songs like school sucks. I know. You know what I mean, dude? It's like, this is America. It's a land of, it's not, we have a lot of work to do, but you know, there's opportunities here.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I love that.
Well, I had a great time talking tonight. You know, anything you want to share with our audience? Like maybe you could give someone who wants to get into this a little of your magic, a little of your advice.
Man, I would just say whatever the thing that you want to do is, like, the universe puts a dream into your heart and then gives you the things that you need to support that dream. Sometimes it seems like it's not happening, but I guarantee you, if you don't quit, you will at least get closer. You know, man, I've been in 90 TV shows, bro. Do you know what I'm saying, dude? Like,
oh yeah.
I'm some kid from the middle of nowhere who we grew up poor, you know what I'm saying, dude? If you just keep working hard and keep going in the direction of your dreams, I think never giving up, never quitting on yourself, never giving up on yourself. I always tell people, if I get to my deathbed and you're like, Tony, you got the call, you booked a series regular, I'd be like, I did it. It's only for you. It's only for you anyway. It's only for you anyway. And then along the way, be nice to people, volunteer, donate, help other people along the way, you know, because at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to be awesome when I book some huge thing and I'm super successful. But your kids don't give a shit about that. Your kids just want you to be there for them and hug them and tell them they're doing a good job. And like, you know what I mean, dude? They don't give a fuck about Dak Shepard's kids. Don't care what movie he's in. They're just like,
no.
Oh, dad took me like out to the sand dunes and we had fun. They don't care about that stuff. So let's just, you know what I'm saying? It's not that, it doesn't matter. Yeah, for you, don't give up for you. But like at the same time, there's more important things than, you know, being a good person, I think is more important than success. You know what I'm saying?
That's the best advice out there. And you really resonate what people are like in the Southeast. We're talking to a lot of people over this, recently from the Southeast, and it's just a much different vibe, if you know what I mean.
You're a
I
good
do.
man. You're not
And-
egomaniacal. You know, you're giving. It's great that you're a teacher. You want to give back, and it's so rare. It's just so awesome.
I appreciate you saying that. I don't think it's rare. I feel like the world is changing. I feel like a lot of us are just like, oh, there's more to life than just making $1 billion, $1 million, having sex with a bunch of women. Do you know what I'm saying? Being the best fighter. And look at Mike Tyson. He's just like, I mean, it was all bullshit. I was crazy, and I regret a lot of the things that I used to do. It doesn't make him not the champ or take away his hard work, but he's like,
No.
there's more to it than just that. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome, Tony. You're making me rethink some of my own thoughts. I want to thank you.
Quit your job.
I am this close, buddy.
Yeah,
We are here with that
yeah.
mindset, and you are really inspiring me tonight. And
Me
thank
too,
you, brother.
This is great.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Wow, what an amazing time. You got any more questions, Mark?
No, we're just thrilled that you came on, and
Yeah,
we're
Tony,
looking forward
listen.
to your future.
Thanks, man. Me too. I'll let you guys know when something big happens.
Promise you'll come back.
I will do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Great having you here, man. Take care. Much luck.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Talk again soon.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay, great.